Hi guys, so this is part 2 on the HM6264 RAM IC, and I thought in this video I would go over the schematic of the chip and show you guys what it actually is on the circuit. So sorry if my voice is kind of weird, I'm really sick, but let's go ahead and make this video. So obviously the HM6264, that chip right there, the resistor array, 330 ohms, this yellow chip right here. And you could see that all of the data lines from the chip, which are both inputs and outputs, go to this 330 ohm resistor array. And on the other side are these LEDs. And that's shown over here, and I forgot to draw the 3 lines to indicate they're light emitting diodes. They just look like diodes in this circuit, but you know what they are. And that's the data output. And then these same data lines, before going through this resistor, they also go over to one side of this 74245, which is just an octal buffer basically. It has 8 buffers, and you could see that I've tied the first pin, which is the direction, to 5 volts. So that makes it that this bottom side are inputs and the top is outputs. And if you made this pin low, then this side would have been the outputs with these white wires, and then the red side would have been the inputs. But the way that I wired it up, it had to be like that. So you could see that that side is the output, and this side is the input, and they're all pulled down. Every input and output is pulled down. Address lines are pulled down. The only things that are pulled high are the write enable and output enable on the chip, and that's because they're active low. So that's the reason for that. But yeah, and all of them are either 820 ohm or 1K resistors, but I would recommend just using 1K for all of them. I just didn't have that many 1K resistors lying around, but 1K would be optimal. And these green wires are these address inputs on the HM6264. You can see they're also pulled to ground, and there's a few more over there pulled to ground. And these orange wires are the data wires, so are these red ones. These red ones just extend over to this chip, the 74HC245. And I forgot to mention this this inverter in detail. So it might be kind of confusing, but I basically used the NAND gate as an inverter because I didn't have any inverter ICs lying around. So the way I did that was I talked about it in in one of my last videos, but I basically just tied the 2 inputs of the NAND gate together, and that turns it into an inverter. So what I put onto the inputs is the output enable of the 74HC245, and the write enable of the HM6264. So whenever write enable is high, we're reading from the chip, and this chip's outputs are disabled because this chip has a active low output. But whenever I put this low, it will turn on the outputs of that chip, and it will write to this chip. But that's not very easy to visualize if the same data is written to the chip and on the inputs. So I'll change it. So I'll turn this LED on to make a nice little pattern, and I'll bring this low, and you can see that it wrote it in there. So that's about it for this circuit, and you guys have the schematic over here. I put it on my last video's description. So I'm pretty sure that it's pretty clear by now, what everything is. But let me just show you that I use the same chip in my 6502 computer that I have. So there's 2 banks of SRAM basically, and I select them in the software. I don't want to go too into it, it's really a bit more complicated. But I basically select either this top SRAM IC or the bottom SRAM IC, and the reason I did that is in case I run out of RAM, I could use another chip. But right now, basically, I'll just run a program, and you can see it works. It just, this program is using, I believe, the top SRAM IC, and then to switch between programs, I could manually select a different ROM. So let me select this ROM. Then we could run Fibonacci. So you can now see Fibonacci is running, and it's going really fast, so I'll put it on this capacitor, and then you'll see it go slower. Maybe I should reset. so you can see it from the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So yeah, basically the HM6264 is just a basic SRAM IC. If you want to use it in a computer like this, you don't have to use the circuit I made. The only reason I made that circuit is because in the last video I talked about the 7489 RAM IC, and that one has separate data inputs and outputs. So on that chip, you wouldn't need a circuit like this if you wanted to use it for something like, let's say, the SAP one that Ben Eater made, the SAP one, simple as possible computer, because that one, the RAMs on that one had separate data inputs and data outputs, and I basically made that circuit as a solution to that. But if you're using it in a computer like this one, then you do not need that. So I just thought I'd make this video as like a little clarification about the whole entire circuit and what the point of it is. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.